it never occurred to me that I would even be considered for it. I mean, I had not done anything dramatic. And it's one thing to do commercials, and it's fabulous, but it isn't, how do you become a character? How do you break down a script? How do you delve into that whole thing and realize the relationships of each of the characters, and you know, how do you do that? Mm-hmm. And so I was very fortunate in having Alfred Hitchcock and his wife Alma as being my drama coaches. She was a very well-known editor. She was always the one who was in the background and always giving very sage advice to him. Mm-hmm. And he listened very, very carefully. What we did up in Bodega Bay was mostly the outdoor scenes. And because what he wanted was control of the lighting, so these sets were brought back into the studio so that he would have control to make his leading ladies look absolutely fabulous. Only after I had done this very extensive screen test that was 3 days with Bob Burks as the DP. Bob Boyle did the set. Edith Head did a whole wardrobe for me. We did scenes from Rebecca, Notorious, and Catch a Thief, 3 entirely different women. Mm-hmm. And they flew Martin Balsam in to be my leading man. And after that, after the screen test had been assembled, and they all, I guess, everybody at Universal watched it, they invited me to dinner at Chasen's restaurant. And Hitch and his wife Alma and Lou Wasserman, who was then head of Universal, joined us. And he placed this very beautifully wrapped package, small package, in front of me from Gump's in San Francisco. And I opened it, and it was this pin, 3 birds in flight, and it's made of golden seed pearls. And I looked at it, and he said, "We want you to play Melanie Daniels." And well, I was literally blown away, because it had never occurred to me that I would be given that kind of an accolade. And I was asked to sit in on meetings with the cinematographer, with the set designer, with Edith Head, who I adored, and all the different, Herman Citron, who was, you know, doing the music. And so that's how I acquired this education in making motion pictures. It would have taken me 15 years to learn what I learned there. And the way that he directed me was so interesting, because we would talk about the scene, and we would talk about the characters and the personalities of the characters. But there was very, very little actual instruction about how I should do it. I mean, it was done in such a subtle way. Mm-hmm. That, and I think most of the actors who worked with Hitchcock would say the very same thing. Mm-hmm. And of course, the fabulous Jessica Tandy, the scene where she has driven down to find out what's going on with the birds, and she goes to see a neighbor, and she finds him horribly murdered by the birds, and she comes back to the house hysterical, and so I bring her a tray of tea and whatever. And Hitch said, "Now I want you to play this in a very bitchy way." And I went, "Okay, that's fun." So I did. And then we went on to other scenes and that sort of thing. So in the meanwhile, that was being edited, and when it was assembled, and Jessica watched it with Hitch. And at the end of it, she turned to him and she said, "Nobody's going to like that girl." And you know what? Hitch listened to her. Back came the set. Meanwhile, that had been put away in storage, and we were on to other things. And the set was put back, and so you have the same movie, the same scene, the same actors, the same set, the same everything. And I did it in a very kind of caring way. Mm-hmm. And, you know, it was one of the best lessons that I ever had. It was the best teaching lesson, is that how an actress can change the whole picture by the way that one scene is done.
Mm-hmm.
It was it was very inspiring for me.